guys excited or feeling any doldrums that it's over?
Negative.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No. When you get to the end, you're ready for it to be over. There's no.
Yeah, I didn't do any of the late season. I had a couple invites. People were like, you gonna do the late season goose? I was like, man, I already cleaned all my stuff, cleaned my gun, and that's indicator the season's over. And I was like, I've already
Checked out
baseball's on the
mentally.
mind. I'm done with it, man. But
January 31, I stopped at Kittle's and threw all mine in there and said, I'll see you, buddy. Did you need them for late season? I said, no, take your time.
He does good work, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I
no,
keep
he's
hearing that.
killer.
yeah.
That kid's good.
Yeah, well, I just dropped a gun off there.
Is there a new guy in there?
Yeah, young
It's,
kid.
Grayson's his name.
Yep.
But he did Cerakoting on a bunch of guns and shit for me.
yeah?
He's legit.
It's got a nice little shop in the back there and everything.
Yeah, I need to take my guns there because everybody that I've talked to has been like, "Oh, he's great."
Yeah, it came from a line of gunsmiths, it sounds like. So
Really?
he's been around it. And,
That's
all
the
that.
first I've heard of that.
His grandpa, I think he said was, and then he went to school, but he picked up a bunch of stuff working with the grandpa, and like those old guns, like the A5s and stuff. He's legit.
Yeah. And he had a pile of them back there.
Really?
And he was like, yeah, I could get it to you in a week. I was like, dude, I don't need this thing till May. I go, so May's like, oh, perfect. I'll have it done by then. And
Yeah, I had one break during duck season. I called him. I said, hey, this is what it needs. He goes, I'll order it right now, drop it off. I had it in 2 days.
Oh,
No
nice.
shit.
Yeah.
Is that the 10, is that the 10 gauge?
One of the 10s, yeah.
10s. Browning.
Browning gold,
Gold.
baby. It's a real man's weapon. You wouldn't know nothing about it.
I wouldn't. I shoot a 3.5 inch. I did this year. I shot a box, and I could.
Skyscraper.
Well, no, I could feel my shoulder, right? And then I shot a bird, and it just destroyed it. And I was like, a thought in my mind, I was like, how is Casey not destroying birds with the 10 gauge?
Do you shoot a 10 gauge all the time?
Every day.
No, really?
Cylinder, improved cylinder,
No.
extra full.
Extra full, baby.
What?
No way.
Gotta get out there.
It's a cleanup gun. I don't shoot them. I shoot them all in the back. I don't
Yeah.
ever shoot until shit's getting away and there's
Yeah.
cripples, and then I let them have it.
3.5 inch.
BBs all the time.
BBs.
What?
All day,
You have
every
a
day.
steel shoulder?
Just crunching widgeon at like 50
Hey,
yards.
dude, that gun kills.
Yeah.
It's sickening.
Heavy metal or heavy shot or
Heavy shot. Heavy BB, or no, what is it? Heavy steel is what I shoot a lot of. I shoot heavy metal too. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't even think I've ever shot a 10 gauge.
Yeah.
I've shot one once.
it don't kick. It's just, I mean, the gun
Just
weighs 12
heavy.
pounds.
Heavy.
Yeah.
It's a pig.
Yeah, this was like a side by side old double trigger gun. And, the guy had bismuth and he was talking crap the whole time of, oh yeah, you guys have those 12 gauges, and birds came in and my dad doubled, boom boom, and he'd shoot a goose, and another group came in and he shot one, and we're teasing them. Afterwards, like, oh, you want to shoot? And I was like, yeah, sure. Boom, just shot it in the decoys, and I was like, well, that was $4 wasted on you, man. But yeah.
Where do you find Kittle's ammo? Do you just get it ordered?
Yeah, I've got stockpiles of it over the years, but now since Federal bought Heavy Shot,
Yeah.
they haven't made a single 10 gauge
Oh,
round.
really?
Yeah, it's hard to get that.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh,
Where do you
wow.
get
Well,
it?
you can get it, but like the Black Cloud's ounce and 5/8. If I want to shoot ounce and 5/8, I might as well shoot a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
If it's not ounce and 3/4, I ain't shooting it.
Yeah.
Or bigger, like the Boss was, I think, 2 1/8. Boss when they were making 10 gauge shells. That
They don't
stuff
make
hammers.
any more?
Well, they were having problems getting components, but they're gonna have to. Somebody's gonna have to figure it out,
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
or else the 10 gauge is going by the wayside. But I heard Browning was done making them this year too.
Yeah. I had trouble with because I shoot the full choke and the number 4 Federals all the time. Same thing.
Yeah.
Extra full. And I can't find them anywhere. I can't find the Federal 4s anywhere.
Yeah, I
People
know
laugh, but-
during the Freedom Week you get them from Rogers. They're having a sale, but yeah, just in general, that's what's hard to go to a store and it's just random whatever that's there.
Yeah, how are you supposed to stay consistent on anything?
Yeah. Well, today we have Casey Staffer with CICC Outdoor Adventures and Jason Aversalo with Fowl Pursuer Outdoor Adventures. And I'm here with Carson Odegaard, and we're just going to talk about a recap of the duck season and some highlights, some not so great highlights, old hunting stories growing up and all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys having us. And Casey, it looks like you got a nice purebred, some
duck.
type of duck dog.
That's
Is that
a
the
duck
new?
dog right there,
Is that
buddy.
the new guide?
Get on the
guide
table. Get it in
series?
the video. Let's see.
Oh,
Hey,
get
on
up
that
there,
big
dragon!
Is Dragon a retriever, full-blood retriever?
He'll go after him. He's not scared of nothing. He hunts ducks every day.
Dragon, do you got a dog vest or anything, or are you just chilling in the duck blind?
No, he runs him a Carhartt vest.
Does he?
Does he really?
No, I bought. You can't find a neoprene one for him, so I bought one the other day, and we're gonna whittle down on it and make it fit him.
Yeah,
so he
That's
looks the part.
awesome.
So is he the teal dog? Like teal on the levee? That's all
His favorite are snow geese.
He'll really go out and swim and go get them, or
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like anything that hits next to the levee, he'll snatch it up. Or when you get a bunch of geese or whatever, and you're coming back and just toss them in the blind, more birds are coming. He's the dispatch crew.
Yeah.
He'll be down there on the bottom having his way with them.
What about your lab? Are they just buds? Like,
Oh, yeah. No, he's the boss.
dude,
He thinks he's 400 pounds of steel. He's scared of absolutely nothing.
How old is he?
gosh.
He's 4 now, I think.
Oh, okay. He's coming into his prime.
Yeah.
I love
Like-
the name suits Dragon.
The-
Dragon the duck dog.
The end of the season there, like he couldn't take it no more. He was done watching the lab. So when they hit the water, so did he. Like he was swimming and getting it pretty good at the end of the season.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is freaking hilarious. Love that. Just chill.
Yeah, no, he's a good dog.
Heck yeah.
He's everywhere with the
Yeah.
tractor.
If I go, he goes.
Yep, that's what
Nice.
I go places and people say no dogs. Well, I ain't going.
Yeah. Well, he's welcome here. Yeah, so recap of the duck season. I thought it was an odd season, very warm, lots of
Too many gray skies.
Gray skies. What was everyone's optimism going into the season, and how did your expectations change? I know I had my thoughts of going into the duck season and what it might look like, and it was pretty much spot on. Yeah, for the most part. But
It was a rough season. It was tough all season long. You know, towards the end it was good, but just long days, you know.
Yeah.
Even in November, you know, where typically we go pretty good on the sea ducks, and
even that was
even
slower.
that was tough, you know, where we're at. They come in through the bay and they got to go left. They all went right, and then they're there, and then they're gone. And who knows where they went. And then they show up, and then they're gone. It was weird. And usually that's very, very consistent for us in the early season, and that was even tough. So,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, personally, we had a really good January, which typically in our area it's really hit or miss, you know, in that time of the year. But I think going into the duck season, knowing how much water was going to be on the landscape, we knew birds were going to be spread out. But like on some of the CWA properties, like there was food there January 31st. Like the ducks just never got in there, and the snow geese finally did and destroyed it. But I mean, we were just waiting all season for them to get in there and find the feed and start in our area, and it just never really happened, you know.
You look around at the end of the season, like walking checks, you know, when I'm out irrigating, I'm just looking at the end of the checks where the rice is standing still on the side. That should have been gone a long time ago. But you look like now, or even a week after the season, that storm we got right after the season,
Yeah.
all of a sudden there was ranches where there was not many birds, and then they were just watered in there, and they still are. I mean, we got a bunch of floodwater in Calusa right now, where I got, you know, checks still underwater, blinds full of water, and the lake is full of ducks, you know.
Yeah.
I was out driving around yesterday. It's just we didn't get the big push. I don't think they sat in Oregon until the end of the season, and then we got that big push after the season was over.
Yeah, because really we only had that one like few days in January that it actually got somewhat cold, you know. But other than that, it was basically the same weather for the majority of the duck season.
yeah, that first day that we had that cold, that we had, I walked out and there was ice on the truck, and I'm like, it is on today.
Yeah.
And it was like a light switch for that day.
Yeah, yeah.
We shot limits of widgeon in our sprig.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yep.
And as soon as I walked out to the truck and the truck was frozen, I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be it. And then the next day it was warm, and
Yeah, like here and gone.
Yep.
And then the last couple of weeks here, it's been actually fairly cold and ducky weather and all that, you know.
The last day of the season, I had guys in the blind, and we knew it was going to start raining. I told the guides, they know. Like
I have
the
a
one
terrible
ranch,
story on the last day of the season.
the one ranch that when it starts to rain, they're coming out of the refuge.
Yeah.
And they sat there like 10:30, 10:45. Mike that works for me texts me and he goes, Casey, it sucks. Like, we got 2 birds. And I go, I just looked at Doppler, dude. Give it 15 or 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
He called me back in an hour. He's like, we're done, and there's more ducks than I've seen.
Dude.
So we got the clients out of there. The guides went back out there. And I mean, as fast as you could load your gun, like it was an hour with 4 limits of birds. And they were out, and they're like, hey, is there anyone out? Like, go get them, guys. If you got friends or whatever, it's the last day. Burn them up. Like, that last day of the season, you could have shot them from 11:30
Oh, yes, you
until
could
dark
have.
as fast as you could load your gun.
Yeah. So
What's your story?
yeah. So my story, obviously, Carson and I shoot the same club, right? And I'm like debating it with my brother, like, hey, you gonna go? He's like, I have a meeting early, and I was like, well, storm's supposed to hit. This kind of keep pushing it off, and I don't really want to come back after the season and start picking everything up. So I was like, I'm gonna go in the morning. You come after your meeting, and we'll just hammer this thing out, right? And everyone's there in the club except for I don't think there's anyone in your blind.
Except for me.
So everyone starts picking up their crap like before 9 o'clock. I mean, I think I shot the 2 birds that worked the entire club in the morning, and that's it. So I had 2 birds. Like, I'm going to end it on those, right? Start picking everything up. My brother comes. I have basically everything picked up. We're starting to bring stuff back to the levee. And it's starting to rain then. So it's like 10:30, 11:30, but no storm yet. Like, no real wind, and it's starting to rain. And I think at this time, Carson is in his blind.
So I had, my plan was to get there at about 10, and I was going to run blind covers back to the check and start getting stuff picked up and then hunt the afternoon. So yeah, you guys were pulling out in the Argo, and I'd make like 1 or 2 trips down the check, and it was just starting the wind and the rain. I was like, they don't have decoys out. The guys to the north don't have decoys out. I'm like, my decoys are going to be out. This might be good.
Yeah, like everyone had left. Like everyone in the club had already left before we got back to the container, and we're cleaning up. And I was like, dude, I think we made a mistake, and we're leaving the club. And Carson's like, the minute you left the club, I had shot a limit in 45 minutes and called his blind partner. Was like, get the hell up here, and he was done like immediately when he got in the blind. I was like, there's no way. I was like, I saw 10 ducks all morning. He's like, it was wild. It was wild. I talked to somebody else who said the same thing as you. He was like,
it was like somebody
I've seen
flipped the switch.
all duck season. Yeah. I was like,
and it was crazy ducks. Like a lot of times in the afternoon, we don't ever see teal.
Yeah. Oh, I was passing on groups of 20 teal to shoot mallards. I called my buddy. I said, I'm literally watching 20 teal in the decoys right now because I'm shooting mallards. I was like, hurry up.
I'm sitting there, and when he's telling me the story, I'm like, you don't. I don't want to talk anymore. Like, no way.
Never look back.
You can't. Or it's like, I wish you would have never told me that story because I'm sitting there like, well, dude, we could have had a banger day.
I told him the day before, I said, I'm going to show up this time. The wind's going to start, and it's going to be awesome. Nobody listened to me. Yeah, it was awesome.
But everyone you talked to that hunted the entire day, just same story. Ducks everywhere. You know, it didn't matter where you're at.
And the same thing happened for us on Sunday at the junior hunt. Like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it was weak. Like there were some birds flying, only sprig, and it started raining. And those kids, I think, in that one blind shot like 11 or 12 boxes of shells.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, because it was so windy and those teal were coming and they were just burning ammo, and the kid goes, dude, they are. I said, let them burn them all. Yeah, bottom, shoot them all.
Yeah, can't eat the shells, man. Gosh,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like a light switch sometimes.
But I think that was just we were seeing those birds. They finally were pushing down. You know, and they got. I mean, there was a lot of birds here all year, but it wasn't like normal.
Yeah, not at all. Not typically. You know, every year when I look back, it's usually right around December 10th, December 15th is when we really start.
I would agree.
Getting on where we can, kind of figure out how we're not going to shoot limits, but we'll shoot 8-10 birds, 2 guys, and that's
any day, any weather.
Yeah.
After the 10th of December, it should be.
Yeah. Right. Well, like Butte Creek Island Ranch, for example, like it's pretty historical where it's like we don't shoot in the afternoon, so birds tend to filtrate back into Butte Creek in the afternoon.
Every year since we've had it, they've done that.
And sometimes like you're gonna check on water, like it's impressive, right? And I was like, dude, there's got to be birds out there. So I'm checking water, and I sat out by the bridge, just looking at the wetland up until dark, and like 10 birds came back. I'm like, this thing should be a beehive because it usually is. Right. They just never got back in there, and it's one of those things where it's frustrating because it's going to happen. It's just when is it going to happen? Is there going to be any season left? You know what I mean? And it just was one of those years.
I mean, what do you guys think of this season as comparatively to the last 20, say? Was that the worst you've seen in a long time?
I think so. For me, I said it quite a few times to like just different people talking, it's probably the worst one in 20 years.
Yeah.
For me at least.
I can guarantee you it's the worst one we've ever had.
Wow.
And it's not, I mean, there was birds here.
Yeah.
But it was the weather, the birds just sat. On the days you got the right weather, you get that low ceiling or whatever, and everybody go, oh my God, the new ducks showed up. No, they've been here. They're just trapped underneath it, you know? And then we'd smash for a couple days and think, all right, we're finally back on the run we need to be. And then the
warm
next
and
day, it's
great.
like,
You don't see a duck. You could go from like wide open,
Yeah.
having a great time, and then same weather conditions, everything, and you don't
Yeah.
see a duck.
Well, that's where I think like last year was extremely good duck season in my opinion. But you had not only
You had the perfect storm.
well, you had the lack of water. So if you had water, but even I think if you had more water on the landscape, we constantly had, in my opinion, every couple of days, if you have some type of weather change where it's either rain, wind, or whatever, and it's constantly changing, the birds never get settled in the area, and they're always constantly going back, finding the food, finding the close zones, finding the food, finding the close zone, as opposed to, I know where the close zone's at. I know where the food's at. I'm going to go there at night, and I'm going to go back into the close zone and sit there all day until I go back out at night. You know?
and there was lots of weird stuff. Like, I check water, I'll have to go shut pumps off at
Yeah,
10
you're all
o'clock
over
at
the
night.
valley.
I'm all over the place at
Yeah.
night, running around. And most of those ranches, you can pull on them an hour after dark,
Yeah.
roll your window down, and solid birds out there. And there was times when you go out there and it was crickets. You would hear a few snow geese and some specks, but not a single duck.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the guys in my trailer park are like, Casey, you should hear all the ducks. Well, the next 5 days, what do? We slaughtered them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go back to the same thing where they just dipped. They went somewhere else, and that was that.
Yeah, that was it. We ran some hunts down in Quimby, and it was a much slower season down there. And we pulled up with a group of guys, and down there you always have a chance for a good hunt because there's not a lot of pressure, right? And the birds you see typically will want to work. But we rolled up there, and all we could hear were bullfrogs. Frogs everywhere. I was like, I don't even hear a duck. They actually had a decent hunt, but it was one of those things where it was like, that's typically not what you hear at the end of January, out in a duck marsh is just frogs going off and no ducks. It's not a good sign.
When you've hunted the same place like I have for all the time, I can shut my pickup off in the morning, and 9 times out of 10, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there was a whole bunch of times I shut my pickup off. I'm like,
It's tough. It was tough. It was hard all season long. The end of the season was good, but
Yeah.
getting to that point, it seemed like it just.
A grind.
Oh my goodness.
Did you guys try anything different to help your success throughout the year, or do you guys change up your hunting tactics at all? Like early in the season, you go more goose decoys or duck decoys. What do you guys do? What's your game plan?
Yeah, I've always done a huge spread, so I'm probably typically 11 to 1,500
Okay.
duck decoys, just because that's kind of where we're at. There's so many blinds all over us, so.
The other blinds in your area, or you're trying to go bigger than the other blinds around you?
Yes, absolutely. Just because there's so much competition where I'm at, my main place where we hunt is just, there's a lot of people everywhere.
Yep.
And so I'm always bigger. We change a little bit for the most part. I've been there long enough to kind of know what's working, but I'm as big as, if I could go more, I would, but
Yeah.
it's just setting them.
Picking them up. Everyone's there to help set out and hunt, but at the end of
Yeah.
the season, like, hey, we need some help. Yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like it bigger. It just,
Yeah.
they're going to come to the call. I just, for us, some of it's traffic, but I like it bigger. I don't typically, it seems to be if you do it the same every year where I'm at, it's been pretty consistent for the most part. I think weather has a big part to do with it like this year, but for the most part, I'm pretty much the same. The spinners and the water motion has probably changed a little bit, but for the most part, decoys wise or set wise, it's the same, at least for me.
Do you guys run a lot of motion and stuff? I do personally, but yeah. I think it's key. But you, Stafford?
well, I do stuff completely different than everybody else. For the most part, like my spreads all have 500 or 600 goose floaters and
Yeah.
100 duck decoys.
Oh, really?
Only because it's 100% different than everybody else.
Yeah.
And the ducks are going to come to the goose decoys, and I like the white. A lot of guys hate the snow goose decoys. I'll put out 300-400 snow goose decoys at almost every blind.
Really?
And then, as the season goes down, like we're in that stupid closure, so as soon as spec season's closed, I'll pull all the spec decoys out. And sometimes I'll cut when the birds start dicking you and going to the sides and won't listen, then I'll pull in some of those. And a lot of times, it just depends on the year. Some years, if everything's working, I'm not changing it. If it ain't broke, I'm not fixing it.
Yeah, I'm in that.
But if they start cutting the edges and they start being a pain, then we'll go pull 300 or 400 decoys and get them out of there and just shorten the window up to where if they decide they're going to skirt the decoys, too late, we're killing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Where are you putting all those snow decoys? Are you
I
spreading
put
them out
them all
like just
around
right?
my blind just like
Yeah.
you would a duck decoy.
Yeah, same
Same
thought
exact
process.
thing. It's just that's what I do. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And
Maybe
no motion. Or
I'll
you use a
use-
blade and stuff.
I'll use blades and stuff, but everything I got's on a remote.
So
Yeah.
you can shut it all
I
off.
shut everything off. Like
Yeah.
I'll use them, and a lot of times, some days they want the dang thing, but other days you'll turn it on, get their attention way up there, and then I just kill it.
Yeah.
So
Are you guys shooting more geese over the duck blinds?
Have you seen more geese in the past years? I feel like there's
oh
more
yeah,
and more
there's
in the
way
valley.
more geese now than there ever was. But
Yeah.
like early season, before them ducks come down, we get all those stupid snow geese early, and we got the specs, and I
Probably
can only
come
shoot
right
them till
in.
the 21st.
Yeah.
So they're out feeding. They'll go feed. As the water goes and fields are getting harvested, they feed in the dry, but then they come back choking with
Yeah.
their mouth full of stuff, and they need water. They eat that spread up.
Yeah, and there's no one else doing
Yeah.
it. I think that's what's key in success is just doing what other folks are not doing and looking different, however that may be. It might be less decoys in an area, more motion, or more decoys than someone next to you, right? I just think
Well,
that's-
There's nobody that has the stuff that we run at our place.
Yeah.
Because, they don't want to put the effort into it. So
No.
And fly over the top of the valley and look down at an airplane and you see the X or you see the squares. I mean, everything looks almost the same, and then you'll see something go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
It looks way different.
Yeah. What's the reverse J on each side?
Yeah.
Reverse shit.
Yeah. But that is true where, if you do get an airplane, it's just like duck blind, duck blind, duck blind, duck blind, duck blind. And you could tell, because everything is so uniform and that's how it is. You could usually see the blind before anything. I know, Casey, you're a big proponent of the roll tops.
I won't hunt without one.
Yeah. Which is crazy because I've never, I have. I just found it so hard to quickly shoot at a bird. Like if a teal is on the backside. just
Right,
get
and
out, boom.
it screws you sometimes, but I mean, we're taking different guys every day, and it's like this, looking up, and close the top.
Yeah.
I've never had good success with them.
Yeah.
I've hunted them only a few times. Maybe if I did it more often, but we use the Gibsons.
Yeah.
And I zip tie everything together so I'm in control of everything, and
Right.
they're close tight. But I've never, only a few times. I've had one blind that had them, and it just.
Yeah, the guys that have them love them.
Yeah.
And then there's guys that hate we use Gibsons and I like them, but it's to get used to those is a different style. And then, I've been to some duck blinds where there's not a gray blade of grass on the thing, and for whatever reason the ducks just pile in there. So it makes you think like, okay, are we overthinking this sometimes?
I used to have a club, and the guy sprayed and sprayed and sprayed. Like the levees were solid mud going to the blind, and there's nothing you can do with it. And so the first year, I'm like, what the hell are we gonna do? Like I won't hunt without a roll top. So I put the roll top on, brushed it, put a few stakes and some brush around it. It stuck out terribly, and it didn't matter. Those
Yeah.
birds wanted to be there.
Yeah.
right.
But there's other places I went and hunted with a buddy this year. He's like, come down to our place and check it out. And like we get there and we're walking down the check, and it's like a mud pit.
yeah.
And you get to the blind with the roll tops, and the geese would come down and they'd hit 60 yards, and they're like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Nope.
But there's nothing like he was in the same situation. He goes, what would you do? I go, you got to go get 100 full bodies and bury this blind with the full bodies on the check. You got to break it up. I said, if you'd break that up and put 300 or 400 goose floaters, you'd have the best goose blind in the valley.
Yeah.
And he's like, you think so? I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, because every bird would lock up and come like they wanted to die. And I'm not the best goose
Yeah.
caller in the world, but they wanted to come right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we could slaughter them. I mean, it would be fantastic. He's like, you think? I said, I promise you.
Yeah.
So they're going to do it this year, and I guarantee you the results will be much better.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a place that our blind sits really low, so I don't run any covers, and I just run all full bodies, and I do a little bit over the top just to break it up, but it works great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a blind where we did that. It was like if you drew it up like what you wanted a duck blind. It was like we had all the decoys. It looked awesome, but for the life of us, the birds would just not square up the blind, and it was a huge check. And it was the most frustrating thing ever. We changed stuff up. We put full bodies all over the check. We had goose decoys out. Looked beautiful, and it was just the hardest thing to decoy birds in close. They'd always want to go out in the middle and just boom, because the checks were so big. We're not there anymore, thank God. But it was
Our
frustrating.
checks are still pretty big.
They are better.
I got people, though, that want the east-west. I hate an east-west check in a duck
Why?
blind.
What
For
do you-
what I
Really?
do, I hate
Why?
them. I hate them.
That's
Why?
what mine is an
I
east-west.
I would take a north-south every
No
day of the
way.
week.
What's your thought
100%.
behind it?
It's just like you get the east-west, and if they won't center up, they're always cutting one side of you or the other.
That's true.
Okay, I can see
So,
that.
guiding, as long as I can control the guys, I pull them all the way up into the wind side. And when I say now, that
They're
first
there.
guy shoots and they flare back across the blind. Like I will
Yeah.
take north-south any day of the week. I hate an east-west check.
That's hilarious.
I can't
I
stand
probably
them.
would not even lease south, just because it is that side.
There's
you know.
there's people that I can put, like I'll go show blinds and
Yeah.
they're like, nope, I don't want it. It's north-south. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, that's it.
And there we had a guy that's got a north-south blind, and he was having a hell of a time. Like he's just, this blind sucks, and I go, dude, it's not the blind, it's just the way you got it set up.
Yeah.
So we went out and helped him, and I go, now look, I said the first guy in the wind, whichever way they're coming from, the first guy can't shoot.
Yeah,
You
got it.
have to have self-control and let them go all the way to that top end. I'll
Yeah.
even let them go past the blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I call the shot, and the first guy that shoots, dude, they come right back across you.
Yeah.
It's money.
Yeah.
But
Well, I hunted a north-south, and it's the first north-south check I've hunted in a long time, and we had a banger shoot. But it was interesting because it is that different approach where it's exactly that. Like you're waiting for them to get all the way in the hole and the last one, so everyone can get up and shoot.
yeah, if the guy at the bottom end hoses you, you're done.
Yeah.
You got to have everybody on the same page and let them go.
Yeah.
You know, at least dead center. I'll even let them go past. Like
Yeah.
I want them clear to the top end of the blind, or even past the top end of the blind before the first shot goes off.
Yeah. What I did like about it is when the wind is perfect, they don't see the blind until the last bit. So they are just cruising but it seemed like you missed a lot because couldn't see how they were working or whatever because they're coming down the check. But yeah,
Have
we had a good hunt.
either of you guys ever had island blinds?
No.
No.
I had an island blind once, and you can have those too.
Didn't work out.
We hunted one. I never liked it. I mean, the only time it worked, I've hunted them that have worked.
Yeah.
Like when I worked for Merlot, we had one that had 1,000 decoys around it.
Yeah.
And you were basically sitting in the middle of the pond, just like all the ducks were, and it worked.
Yeah.
With a pile of decoys around it.
Yep.
But I don't know. There's just no way to hide it very
Yeah.
good. You know, it just kind of sucks. It always,
It always
looks like
kind of
sticks
looks
out.
which is funny because like you go down in the grasslands.
That's all they are.
All the blinds are like that. A lot of them, you got concrete sticking up six
No
inches
covers.
over the island, and the birds just widge and teal, whatever it is, just come right into those things.
It's no different though. You go in the Butte Sink and look at most of those blinds. I've been all over the place, and
Yeah.
like I get out there in the Butte Sink and I'm in one of them little boxes out in the middle, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this sucks. Like you're not covered up at all. I'm down in the corner like
Yeah.
a weirdo hiding, but the ducks want to be there, so they come. Like,
That's it. Well, that's where I've been frustrated. Is like at Grizzly Ranch, it's the same thing. Open water blinds, and we're like, we do a good job of brushing these things up, and then you go down in the grasslands, and not all of them, but a lot of them are concrete
Nothing.
sticking up,
Yeah.
and the teal are just in
Yeah.
your face. And at Grizzly, they're skirting the groups or whatever, and you're like, gosh, why isn't it the same? You know?
It makes no sense. You go down there and like all those old guys, they're just sitting there. They're sitting up, and they see, and you're like, "What are you? Is this seriously how you're doing it?"
Yeah. The first time I was like down in the
Yeah.
concrete, and the guys like looking at me, I was like, all right, so you're just sitting there, just moving behind them, they're just coming right in, and it's different every place you go. But like in a rice field, it just doesn't seem like it works like a check blind. I've had some good hunts on an island blind, but historically not the best. Yeah. So what was your guys' first duck you ever harvested? And the story on that. Remember?
I don't even know. I don't think.
You don't
You
remember?
don't remember your first duck?
Yeah, hen mallard.
Where at?
What is that, Sutter?
Is that a refuge?
Yep.
Back when there's trees?
Oh yeah. Yep. We were in the trees.
Mine was a hen green wing teal opening weekend. I don't even know if I actually shot the thing. I think it was so scared because we shot a pond. So like I just got my license, right? And was like bugging my dad, like, hey, we're gonna go. He's like, oh, it's warm out, it's da 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 da. And our friend owned a pond, so we called him, and it was a jump shoot, right? This thing's coming like right at me, and there was like either like it was going to hit me or like go into the bush. And I shot once with my 20 gauge pump 870, and it just like didn't even move and just right into the bush. And I went in there and got it. And like there wasn't a pellet on the dang thing. That was the first bird. That was the start of it.
Broke its neck when it hit the bushes.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, you got one. And to think about it now, I was like, I was 10. I'm alone by myself, shooting a shotgun at a bird for the first time. And my brother's like a couple 100 yards over here, and thinking like now as a hunter instructor, I was like, I wouldn't let anyone do that now alone as a 10-year-old. But there we were.
The first hunt I was on, I was in 1A at Tule Lake, and we were in a boat. I hadn't shot out of a boat before, and hen gadwall comes in, and I killed it, about fell out of the boat with my dad and some of his buddies, and a group of honkers flies over, and I shoot one, and one drops, and my dad's buddy goes, "Did you aim at that one?" I said, "Nope." He said, "Don't ever tell anybody that." I said, "Okay."
So you got your first duck and your first honker in the same day?
Lower Claim with Tule Lake junior hunts. We were shooting limits.
Dude, it took me years to finally get my first honker down. Like, I could see them pellets hitting it and our sail one or whatever, but yeah, it took forever.
They're big old tough ones.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, I could go without shooting those things.
Don't you guys get them where you are on your side a little bit more? Because we don't see them at all on our side.
There's like a pack early in the season and a pack late, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go with never shooting it. But I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, when they're double clucking and they're
Yeah,
backpedaling,
it just
oh my
doesn't do
goodness.
it.
Yeah.
Like, we go to Colorado and we've been to Canada and stuff. They're the guy in Colorado that we go with. You know, that's all they do. The little ones, the big ones. And
Yeah.
it just, you know. It's,
Man, I haven't been on a good honker hunt in a couple of years, but man, when they're coming in, clucking like that and landing, it's freaking awesome.
yeah, no. I'll take the speckle bellies or the snow geese. For
Yeah.
sure over that.
Speckle bellies lately, I mean, compared to 10 years ago to now,
They're tough
It is a
now.
different game. You know,
They're tough. I don't know what. So many now. So many old birds too. I think.
Yeah.
We don't have. It's not like we're seeing a lot of young speckle bellies. A lot of them that you're looking at just seem like they're old birds.
huh?
Well, look at 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Nobody called them. Nobody had a spec.
Oh, if you-
now
nobody
everybody.
If you can make a note, dude, that thing was
Yeah.
like hooked and
Yeah.
coming in, and you felt like you know you were the best spec caller in the world, and now you can be the best spec caller in the world, and they're like,
I think and nobody did it either because it was a lot of work for what was it 2 when it
yeah,
back
2
then,
to
and then
4
2
to 6 or something like that.
Yeah, 2 to 3, and then maybe it was 6 or something, and then now it's 10, and that's got everybody's.
Well, that's the
interest
thing.
sparked.
Same with the snow geese.
Yeah.
Like that jumped up. Now everybody's a snow goose hunter.
And there's big spreads all over
Everywhere.
now, and yeah.
Yeah, if you had 1,500 decoys, you had a big spread, and that's not it's not that way
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, I remember we had 10 or 15 dozen spec full bodies. Like, you know, this is over 10 years ago. Like, that was it, man. Like, we did some damage with that. And now it's like, this is the tiniest spread ever, you know. But 4 guys putting it all out, digging in layout blinds, like, there's a lot of work. We were successful, and like, we don't even really go after them anymore, you know. Just, we used to go to Klamath and all that, but
Yeah.
I had a place in Sutter that I had a blind buried out in the middle of the check was a dry field, and I'd put out like, I don't know, 100, 150 shells,
yeah.
and then some wind socks and stuff in there, and you smashed when
Yeah.
the weather was right. I mean, you were bad. You'd go
Yeah.
get your 4 geese a piece and move on, but that don't cut it no more.
No, that was funny because we were hunting up in Klamath. It was one of the first years I went from like whatever 6 to 8 or whatever it was, and there was 4 of us up there, and we had shot a few less than a 4-man limit, and like one of our guys was like almost like, oh man, we didn't limit out, and we all looked at each other and we're like, have you ever shot this many specs in one hunt? Guys like, no. We're like, just because the limit went up doesn't mean it was a bad. Like this was an amazing hunt, you know. But it is funny, like as the limits increase, you know, some people are going after them more, and then like someone like me, I'm like, I'll go to the duck blind.
Yeah, going after less.
Yeah.
But then you got guys that come hunt, and because the limit is 10 specs or the limit is 20 snow geese, like, dude, that physically can't happen.
Is 5 boxes enough?
Yeah.
How often do you see that though? People coming in, they're like, "Well, hopefully we get our 30 geese today."
There's a lot. You'd be shocked.
Really?
You know, they'll call. You know, what's the odds that we shoot your?
Not high.
Yeah.
Or we'll go sit in the duck blind, you know, and we kill 4 limits of ducks, and like, so are we going to wait for geese now? I'm like, well, no, we were on a duck hunt, boys. We're out of here.
Yeah. That's the best one. Let's wait for the geese. or the big birds.
The big birds. Oh, the big
It
birds.
drives me nuts.
I'm an equal opportunity killer.
Yeah.
If it's got web feet and a beak, we'll take it, boys.
Yeah, I'll have to admit I was at one time a schnob, but now I'm just if it's a duck, man, it's going down.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So
I never got the duck snob deal. That never hit me.
yeah.
If it's flying and it's coming, it's good enough.
Well, I think to me it's a different perspective where it's like, not that there's pressure or whatever, but it's you're like, if you're into that, like, oh, I only shoot 7 mallards or whatever. It's like, go do your thing. But I like to just go out and just shoot ducks and work ducks and have fun, and
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, we just don't shoot a lot of mallards. I mean, we shot.
Yeah.
I think the most I've shot in a rice blind was 12. And that's
really?
probably been the most that I've ever shot in one hunt,
Yeah.
and that's going almost 20 years. And it's just a location of where we're at, but most of the time we're just like widgeon and teal.
Oh yeah. I laugh because like most guys look at the grasslands, they're like, oh, you only shoot teal down there. I was like, you give me a rice blind in Colusa County that shoots 7 teal every day,
I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah, me
But
too.
but people are like, I'm not going down the grasslands to shoot teals. Like, I would shoot teal. I love shooting teal. I'll shoot teal every day on my rice blind when they're there.
And we get a lot of those guys from down the grasslands area. They come up here and they're like, hey, we're just going to hold off on the little ducks and shoot big ducks. I said, boys, we ain't in $1 million duck club in the middle of the Butte Sink. I mean, yes, there's days you will get your pintail, I promise, because there's 50 million of them.
Yeah.
And after that, you better shoot whatever comes on the given day. I mean, there's days, yes, where we shoot a lot of gadwall and we get handful of mallards and we get, widgeon. But there's days when it's all teal, and you got to take what you can get.
That's kind of what I like about the rice now is like,
The variety.
yeah,
Sporty's
right.
hard. Sporty's
And you
hard.
don't know because like we had some days this year where big groups of gads
Randomly.
coming, like 10, 15 packs, like, and just doing it. Where historically we don't really see that, but then you go out the next day, you don't even see gadwall, and you shoot nothing but teal, and you're just like, what, I think that's what's fun about it,
I had a day last year where we had, one of almost everything on the strap. Those guys are like, what's that? I said, well, that's a ringbill. What's that? That's a redhead. What's that? That's a canvasback. And I'm like, I don't know why or where they come from. I said, but it's cool, man.
I think it's cool.
We had a day like that this year. It was a perfect day too because we had an exchange hunter from New Zealand, and I think we killed 13 ducks. And it was like 8 different species, and I was like, we don't normally shoot this kind of stuff.
And there was a bluebill
And a group of teal that Jeff
got
shot.
shot.
Yep.
Yeah, and the dog brings it back, and it was a bluebill, and brings it back the next one. I was like, Carl's like, I got 2 teal, like one's a bluebill, but we cooked it for his name's Jeff. So we cooked the bluebill, the teal. I think there was a pintail. His favorite was the bluebill. And I was like, talking to him, I was like, most people would not shoot or eat this duck.
Yeah, they get a bum rap.
Yeah, he's like, that was my favorite out of the 3 we cooked for dinner. I was like, really? I was like, it tastes good. It tastes, if you cook it all the same, but
If you can find them with the real white fat,
that was kind of like this. Yeah.
We've
totally
shot
fine.
those ring bills before, and there's an inch of fat on them when you go to
yeah.
clean. There's nothing wrong. They're butterballs.
Yeah.
I'll take them home and eat them. Guys are like, what do you think? And I'm like, they're fine. They're perfect.
I met a guy in one of the grasslands clubs. He shoots the first 7 ducks he can shoot. And then he sits at the picking station and trades his birds for ringnecks. That's his bird of choice. And he was like telling me how he was doing it, but basically Pyrex dish, super hot in the oven for like a few minutes, and olive oil and all the seasonings. And he's like, it's the best duck you've ever had, perfectly medium rare, crispy skin. I was like, well, it's got something down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know something that I don't apparently.
Nah, apparently.
When you guys are looking for new properties, like what do you look for if you're trying to go out and add more properties to your guys' outfitting business?
A lot of it is location or
Yeah.
it's location
100%
100%. But I also look at stuff that's off the grid, away from people, where it might not be good all the time,
Okay.
but for guiding, if we can pick up a piece that's a decent sized piece that I don't say nobody else really wants, but you get something away from everybody else where you get a couple weeks out of the year where the hunting's good, then I'll look at oddball stuff like that.
It's typically location.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be close to a refuge.
That's
typically.
key, right? What should guys look for and gals if they're considering and getting into a duck blind, what should they be doing? Either asking you guys the questions or where to look and kind of where to start. And I would say expectations as well in getting into a blind the first time.
Yeah, expectation is that you're going to be at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is honestly is probably call one of you guys or somebody that's been around for a long time, because there is a lot of people nowadays that are just leasing blinds. That's pretty tough. If you don't do your homework on what's going on, you never know.
And if you take like this year, you could take everything that happened this year and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
And you can take everything that happened last year in the drought and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Because there's blinds that, and I have one, that killed 1,200 birds. Not this last season, the season before. This year, it didn't kill 100 birds. It's just,
You gotta vest into those things too. Most people go to get a duck blind, they don't do very well, and then they're bouncing, going to another spot. And realistically, it's like a 3-4 year commitment to trying to even see if it's any good.
Yeah, we try to tell people that too, and like don't put your expectations. I got into a duck blind and I'm gonna have the best season ever. Use the duck blind as, okay, there's a storm coming, I'm gonna go shoot the storm, or there's birds in my area, I'm gonna hunt for a couple more days in a row. Don't go out there every Saturday and Sunday from October to February and expect 7 ducks. Yeah, because
and a lot of them do. And I had a guy the other day. He goes, "What's your best duck blind? I'll give you 40,000 for your best duck blind." And I go, "You don't want the best duck blind because it's only the best some days."
Yeah.
Like if I had $40,000 I was going to spend, I would get a group of guys and I would go get $4,000 or $8,000 blinds in different areas.
Yeah.
And chase the birds.
Yeah.
Like, guys don't understand that. If I went to a blind the other day that the guy brought his decoys down and they were busy, so he paid my guys to go set up. So we set up, we brushed it, we set up the decoys, got everything dialed in for them.
Yeah.
We went back at the end of the season and picked everything up. And I'm telling you right now, it was identical to the day that we set it. I don't think anybody stepped foot in that blind all season. Most of these guys rent a blind and they hunt 10, 15 times a year. So why wouldn't you get 4 guys,
Right.
5 guys, 6 guys, 10 guys together and be like, hey, look, let's just get 2 or 3 blinds.
Right.
And we'll work our own schedule, our own rotation, however they want to do it. It's not that hard. Most of those guys aren't going to hunt every day anyways. If there's a storm coming, the chance of the 3 blinds you have shooting good is probably pretty good.
Yeah, well, to your point, like, during the duck season, like, how are you guys doing? Yeah, we're getting them. How are you guys doing? It's slow. How are you doing? It's okay. And we're all, an hour, let's say, away from each other. It's completely different. But to your point, your success goes up. Your season, okay, this blind A is shooting. All right, go shoot blind A.
Right.
And then birds are over here. Go shoot the other blind.
Yeah.
But
Well, those guys just get in there and they set it up. They have a rough year, then they leave.
Yeah.
You have no idea. I mean, your set could be totally wrong the first year that you're in here. It takes you a year to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you can get some consistency. But those guys are here and then they're gone and they're looking for the next best thing.
And in my opinion, if you look around this valley, like what I would ask if I was looking for a duck blind is how many acres does that blind have? Because you look, there's stuff. I drive down the road and I shake my head when there's a blind on every single levee. One's to the far right, one's to the far left going through there. I'm like, you can't hunt that way. You can't work.
We've got a good one
There's
next to us.
plenty of them like that.
I was shocked. I don't know if it happened more during the drought, but we ran into somebody and I was like, is there X amount of blinds on that check? He's like, yeah, we just put that one. I was like, did you move one closer? No, that's it. We put a new one in there. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of different blinds on the same check.
Well,
it's 100% about money. It's not about anything
there's a lot of guys running around leasing ground that are paying too much money for the ground. Like I set everything up personally, like every field I have is set up how I would want it. When I take over a ranch, if it's 1,000 acres, I put 10 duck blinds in it.
Yeah. What are you looking at? So you're saying, people should look at acreage. What's a good number for acreage per blind?
I don't have anything under 65.
Okay.
And it's just the way some of those fields break down, like all of a 65-acre field, but then the one above it is a 40-acre field that there's nothing in, and the one to the other side of it's a 20-acre field, so it's basically 100 acres. The way I look at it, but like 65, 75, that's the bare minimum.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'll take a 300-acre ranch, you put maybe, if it lays out right, 3 blinds in it.
Yep.
These other guys are putting in 6.
Right.
But they're going to the landowner and paying they're outpaying me, and I'm not going to do that. Like if it's not set the way I would hunt it, I'm not going to rent it to you.
That was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys. I have seen more no-name guide services pop up in the last 2-3 years of goose guides and this guide and that guide. How has that affected you guys? And I mean, me personally, just from growing up in the valley and hunting, I think those guide services would eventually shake out and not be able to make it because they don't have the following and they don't have probably the proper properties. But what are you guys seeing being on the other side of it? Guide services that have been here for a while and all these guys are coming in and just throwing money everywhere.
It makes it tough on the money side. It makes it tough. And then it makes it tough on the landowner side because a lot of these guys come in that they're just fly by night. And next thing you know, there's stuff that's getting ruined. And then you have the guide, and that's the tough part. They just ruin it. You know, they ruin your relationships. They're jacking up the price. They're probably, undercutting you, doing all these fun, different things that they think that they need to do to get business, which is great. But on the other side of it, it's just a bad reputation for the guide. The guy is really trying to do it honestly. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line of it is we're in the business to make money, right?
Yeah.
We enjoy it, but I want to give each client the best experience I can give them.
Yeah.
And if you're packed on top of each other, or you rent a blind to somebody, take a 300-acre field and put 6 blinds in there, I won't do it.
Right.
I refuse.
And you're seeing more and more of that where, I would call a marginal area or an area that we've hunted for, dry goose ground that it's all flooded now. And it's like, you can't buy a duck there, but it's good goose ground, but now it's flooded and you have all these duck blinds everywhere. And you're just like, man, how long could that last?
Yeah,
But
we had a piece down by the Cherokee Canal and it was 700 acres. We had one duck blind and we had, the rest was dry ground and we had one loafing pond. We got taken from us. Yeah, well, it didn't get. Somebody came and got it, and that following year there was probably 12 blinds there.
oh, jeez.
So it's like we went from a really good property that you could hunt and do well on to now there's 12 blinds in there.
It hurts the area as a whole.
I was going to say that.
That's
too.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
If you go down, I'm going to use, I know you're familiar, everyone here is familiar with Sutter. Bolton Road.
Yeah.
That used to be some fantastic duck hunting. But where in the hell is a duck going to sit? It's not getting shot at down there right now. Other than Siller Brothers over on the far side where those birds
Every
sit.
north, south, west, east check,
It's got one.
Yeah, and you get up on the levee and you start glassing. It's
insane. It's insanity.
Yeah. But there's people willing to pay it, too.
Well, that's the problem that, there's some people that know what they're getting into, but I feel bad for the people that are just getting started and trying to do it the right way and then get wrangled into that. And it's like, well, this is worthless. It's.
Yeah. Well, I've been there. It's like you have a bad duck season, you pay X amount, it might be a good blind, and it doesn't meet your expectations. And you're sitting there after the season like, man, that's not, I didn't have a good time or whatever. But you have to change your expectations, too. I think, I'm going to get into this blind. I think it's not going to be very good. And I think that helps, right?
Low expectation, high reward.
Yeah. Right? That's my opinion on it. But to your point,
if you're out, they got a next sucker behind you filling it in.
Well, and that's the problem, too, is the next guy's always got more money. That's what ruins it. You get where you had, like Casey said, you had 300-acre property and you had 3 blinds. He might not have it anymore. The next guy comes over. There's going to be 6.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No. There's always the more money. And then if you find a shooter, the price going up or someone else beating you out or whatever. And it's just this kind of rigmarole of
friend of a friend.
Constant. Yeah.
And it's crazy. Or my duck club, I've never thrown anybody out of a duck club in my life because they were killing too many ducks.
Yeah.
If you rent the blind, I want you to kill ducks. You rent the blind, you do everything right, you have a great season, you kill 1,000 birds.
Yeah, good for you.
Great. I'm not going to raise the price on you because you killed 1,000 birds. Yeah. But I will not throw you out because you killed 1,000 birds and take your blind. I've never taken a blind from one of my renters in my entire life because I wanted that blind. There's ranches that I've taken over since I went to work for the tribe, and there's a couple blinds I'd like to have, but I will not throw a guy out of the blind because I want it. I just don't do that.
Right.
You know, and there's some of these guys like they're all tight-lipped and won't say nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, look, I'm not taking your blind. I know what you're shooting. I see it. Like I'm around here every day. Like
I've
I'm
killed
not dumb,
12.
dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys, but I know people that, did get the worst blind in a club that shot 20 ducks the year before, and 2 year back-to-back years they absolutely killed it. And wouldn't you know, there's no spots available the fourth year, right? You know, it's just, it sucks. It's just kind of cutthroat at times, which, you know, I think as a duck hunter, that wears on you too. It's like constantly like, okay, what are you going to do at the club? Finding a new place. What are we going to do this year? I lost the blind. I lost the property because it's a 5-year lease or whatever it may be. And it's just constant like searching, right? If you're wanting to lease land or find a blind. But even the refuge route too, it's the same thing. You're always constantly looking for a new spot to go or a place that's not crowded, or, you know, not telling your best friend X, Y, and Z potentially because you're afraid someone else is going to go there and get your ducks or whatever it may be. Yeah. I mean, growing up on public land, you were pretty tight-lipped, I would say, you know.
I think
Especially
that's
if you had
the
a good
way-
spot.
And the thing about it, like, is the guide service, the Instagram posts and all that stuff. You have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how we create our business, keep our business going. That's what our clients expect, is to be able to look at our Instagram and go, sweet.
Yeah, how you doing?
Well, you can't hide it. You know,
Yeah.
people know where your pickup is. Pretty soon someone
Yeah.
sees the ranch you're hunting on, and pretty soon they're flashing more money than you're willing to pay. I will not do it if it doesn't make sense. If it
Right.
doesn't make financial sense, I just won't rent it, you know?
Yeah.
And it just is kind of a double-edged sword, but you got to.
Yeah, you have to draw the line somewhere. I mean, yeah, it just gets out of whack.
It's come to that at that point. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's been there for a while.
I always thought, like, even during, like, the downturn, like 08, 09, I was like, man, duck blinds are probably going to go. They're probably going to get cheaper. Nope. Did not. Didn't even change. It was a beat, you know. I was like, I'll probably find something, you know, to come up. Nope.
I mean, you look around now, you can't hardly find a 4-man blind, and it doesn't even matter if it's a good blind for $9,000-$10,000.
Oh, I know.
I mean, there's guys paying $20,000 for a 4-man blind, and I go, oh my God, you know, to be stuck in one spot.
Yeah, and not doing all that well.
No, and it's
either. You
It's
know?
a risk we take too. Like I got a blind over in Gridley.
Yeah.
And I just kept it there because it's out of the spec closure, and we spent the money on it this year. We had it, and it sucked. You know,
Yeah.
we maybe killed 120, 150 birds out of it. And to me, that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
we hunt enough that we should kill, I don't care what blind it is, we should kill 300 or 400 birds out of it every year.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where we're not even going over there. Like, the blind was there. I'd go check on it every couple of days. I'm like, yeah, there's no ducks there. It sucks.
Yeah,
Let's
go.
move on. We'll go to a different one.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is sometimes.
It is, and you just don't know. And even you could have a burner, and it could have an off year,
Yep.
right? And those things happen too.
Have you guys ever done anything that's legal that was extremely stupid?
While hunting.
Well, just getting up and going duck hunting every day is extremely stupid, Jeff. But, I mean, we're not the smartest tools in the shed here.
Well, it could be weather related.
No, we've been out in some stuff where you got no business even being out there. I don't even remember what year it was. It was like 75, 80 mile an hour winds or
the
something.
big,
The big storm was
when
probably 10, 15 years
transformers
ago.
were blowing up on the roads and stuff.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to the blind. I'm like, damn it, there's a pole across this road. So we go to the other road. Damn it, there's a pole across this road.
Yeah.
There we are trying to walk down the check, and I'm leaning like
Yeah.
this just to stay on it. I mean, it's stupid for a duck,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we did it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Got to be there.
Been in the storms where we've had the lids on, where we're just looking out.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff.
And back in the day when I was hunting in the bypass and stuff, there was those boats in the big water. I mean, for a duck, like my kid wants to go hunt floodwater so bad, and I'm like, look, dude,
Yeah.
negative. Well, you used to do it, Dad. I said, I know, and I'm still alive, and I
Yeah.
don't know how, but I am.
Well, my brother won't anymore. Yeah, because we had an issue. His dog, basically almost drowned, and it's just a no-go for him, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm still like, I like it. It's fun. But I can remember my brother was probably 16, 17. So I'm a young teenager, 12, 13. And I shot my first canvas back. But where we were at, it was too deep for me to go get. Let's put all the decoys in the decoy bag. And I kicked my way with the decoy bag all the way to grab the bird. And like halfway through, like the wind started kind of picking up. I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing. We didn't tell anybody, but I was like, kicked him all my way back to get the bird and back.
With your waders on, probably.
With my waders on.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
good.
Took my jacket off just in case I did
Just
fall.
in case you didn't want to get your shells wet.
But here's a 12-year-old kid kicking out to get his first canvas back on a decoy bag, which was the dumbest thing you could think of. Yeah.
I bet you don't do it again.
And I have not done that one. No. But this is this was actually a coworker. We were hunting. And it was so cold. I sat down and I broke the gas line on the boat tank. And we were both sitting there. I was like, how the hell are we going to fix this, you know? And I start laughing out loud. And he's like, what? And I was like, I thought to myself, hey, I got a lighter. I could I could soften it, you know, to get it back on, attached to something. And he starts cracking up. He's like, I thought the same thing for a second. We both looked at each other like we're idiots. But anyways, we ended up getting like a hand warmer and putting it on it because it was so solid. It got enough, loosened enough where I can get it back onto the attachment. But it was one of those things where we were both thinking the same thing. We both didn't want to say it out loud. We're like, that was the dumbest thing ever.
First thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I was like, well, I got a lighter. That's awesome. Leave it up there. Yeah, pretty funny.
Well, Jeff, you got anything else left for this one?
I don't think so, fellas. Man, it's been an awesome time again, and just want to say thank you for guys for supporting CWA's Hunt program.
100%.
Since the beginning, since 2009. You guys have been one of the supporters that have been true through in and out, doing dove, turkey, and waterfowl hunts. So definitely appreciate you guys supporting CWA and joining us on the podcast today.
And good. Thank you.
I appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. And Dragon.
Dragon's here.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Save It for the Blind podcast. You can find our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.